want to introduce you to Sandy Dalziel now. Sandy has had a lifelong love affair with the bagpipes. He's been playing them and or learning them pretty much all of his adult life. In fact, that's what brought him to Australia, to teach bagpipes to students wanting to learn at Warwick's Scots College. Now he's gone out on his own and is teaching privately, but I caught up with him for a chat about a month ago to talk about how this started, a little bit about the instrument and some of the misconceptions around the bagpipes and whether they're easy or challenging to learn. Now, you teach this incredible instrument, the bagpipes. You've taught it for a long time. When you were a teacher at Warwick Scots College, you famously produced 65 to 70 pipers over the years. But who taught you and when?
I started to learn the bagpipes in 1973. Interestingly, it wasn't the instrument that initially sparked my enthusiasm as a 7-year-old. Yep. It was more the performance aspect, the uniform aspect, the excitement of seeing music being paraded.
Right.
So that's how what initially got me sparked interest. And luckily I had my family involved right back to the 1930s, involved with a local pipe band. And therefore my uncle was able to take on that enthusiasm as an 8-year-old, and the rest is history.
So he taught you. You were taught by your uncle.
I was taught by my uncle. That was closely followed up by my older cousin, who backed up my uncle's tuition. Gotcha. Initially. From there, I went to the leaders in the pipe band, who then took me further, and then I started going to workshops in Scotland to get taught by some of the finest pipers in Scotland.
Gotcha.
As an adult, I then went for further instruction to the home of the Army, the British Army bagpiping and drumming school in Edinburgh. I was able to do the traditional form of bagpipe music there called pibroch, and also light music. From there I was inspired to do the civilian courses through the Institute of Piping, which was a very exacting course done through the National Piping Centre in Scotland, and the basis of them examinations and certificates brought me to Australia.
Wow, that's a hell of a journey. Is it an instrument that you're still learning about now? Different people can teach you different things no matter how much you think you know.
Yeah. Well, that's a very interesting point. Over the last 2 days, speaking to 2 students, one student has actually taught me some aspects of breathing exercises for bagpiping, yep, which is something I've got to be honest, I've never touched on before. But piping is all about relaxation. In many ways, it's quite an unnatural instrument to put a bag under your arm, yeah, to put what they would call the chord aspect, the 3 drones on your shoulder, and then to put your fingers on a bagpipe chanter, doing different things. Whilst doing that, you're trying to blow and possibly march at the same time. So it's very, very unnatural. So to make it as natural as possible, what I certainly try and do is to make the student or myself, or through advice from students, to relax as much as possible, yeah, and that certainly brings out the best music.
It strikes me, and I don't know much about bagpipes, although I just know that in the right setting and with the right piece, it's just such an evocative instrument. But it strikes me that there are probably 1 or 2, and you've touched on it there, 1 or 2 significant hurdles in the path of anyone who decides they want to learn to play the bagpipes. And you might be able to help me separate myth from reality with each of these. But yes, I think the first one would be that it notoriously seems like a formidably particularly challenging instrument to learn to play well, and you've touched on it there. Is that true? Is it harder than it looks, easier than it looks, or about how it looks?
I would say it's about how it looks. The secret is to add on layers of complication gradually.
Okay.
So at first, to be perfectly honest, blowing is not an issue on what they call the practice chanter. That's the instrument you will blow and do the finger work on. It's the fingers, sorting out the fingers first, then introducing the blowing. From there, embellishments are introduced. That would be a next layer after basic scales. Then a basic tune. Following on from that, the next layer would be memory as well, which I haven't mentioned yet today.
No.
So these layers are not difficult as in individually. It's if they're instructed in the wrong order,
right?
Or
yes.
It's not obvious to the student what they should be doing at each stage. So I would say the bagpipes is very achievable. It just has to be laid out in the appropriate layers and then brought together. If you try to jump from 1 to 10, then certainly you're going to have issues. Okay. One of the myths, of course, is that the bagpipes very strenuous as far as blowing.
Yes,
is concerned, Dave. But if I was to tell you that once you've actually mastered the bagpipe, you're actually using your arm more.
Right, okay. To generate the airflow.
Yeah, so it's not blowing, it's actually, I like to refer to, I do when I'm judging as well, or when I'm taking student, it's bag pressure. It's
right.
about pressure producing vibration to make the reeds work.
Right, okay,
so rather than blowing and getting a red face and everything stopping or going downhill from there.
Yeah. So it's not, because again, I've heard that it employs like a circular breathing technique similar to the didgeridoo, but it's not like that at all. It just sounds that way because it's constant.
That's correct. And I think that is certainly an idea, if you like, or a myth that I've came across since I came to Australia. Obviously with the didgeridoo. But what we've actually got in the bag or in the blowpipe, we've actually got a valve.
Right.
So once we've blown in the air into the bag, then that air is trapped with a returning valve.
Right.
And then that air pressure with the arm joins in to produce the vibration of the reeds.
The other myth is that if you take up the bagpipes, your neighbours will instantly revolt and start up a petition to have you run out of the street or something like that. Is it a difficult instrument for those around you until you achieve a certain level of competency, or is that in the eyes of the beholder? I
think, Dave, what we're actually doing is going back to the point of learning by layers. If we're doing that, then we're going from a practice chanter, which will not be heard by your neighbours.
Right, yes.
And we're going on to what you call affectionately a bagpipe goose, because it's the shape.
Right.
Goose. It's just the bag. It's not the drone, so you don't have the added complication of playing the three drones on your shoulder. Therefore, the music that you produce in that is likely to be more appealing, if you like, to your neighbour.
Yep.
So really, I suppose what I'm saying is by the time you get to the bagpipe, you should be proficient enough to play reasonably for your neighbour's appreciation.
That's perfect.
That's certainly the route are followed, and certainly the route I would promote. Just a little story from that. I went back to Scotland when I attended the Edinburgh Tattoo. I took students across. I took 5 students from Scots PGC College as part of a bigger band from Brisbane Boys College who were attending in 2022. I went back home to my mother and father's house in southwest Scotland, and I was speaking to my neighbour, who's still the same neighbour, who was there in 1973, and she said she was delighted to listen to me when I was young through the wall in the council house next door.
Oh, that's great.
And she did that for 10 years. And
fantastic. Yeah. And now she's saying, I knew him when. I knew him.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
so when the Facebook post came out of me going home, she showed support on that. So
that's terrific. There you go. So she didn't run screaming. So
that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. My family's probably wishing I took up the bagpipes then instead of the drums, where you start being loud from the moment you're making mistakes to when you become vaguely proficient. They hear every last beat.
I would say that's more of a challenge.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I did a couple of health and safety checks on the initial tap of a snare drum and the sound of a bagpipe, and the sound of that one tap on the drum has a louder impact.
Sandy Dalziel, fascinating guy to have a chat to.